Welcome back to our channel, the place where hidden chapters, royal secrets, and the stories the palace won't publish finally come to light. Today we bring you a breaking news: Meghan's shocking dress theft confession. I kept it. Now suing critics and slamming royals. A representative for Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, has officially addressed recent media coverage over a green dress she donned at a 2022 photo shoot, affirming her possession of the attire while categorically rejecting any implication of misconduct. The official response followed a series of stories and internet discussions, claiming that the Duchess had appropriated pieces from fashion photos without permission. The statement, which hinted at potential legal action for defamation, has become a pivotal aspect of the narrative, particularly as a distinct, more comprehensive rationale provided to the media by a source identified as close to the Duchess's circle, has faced significant skepticism from fashion industry experts and royal family commentators. The core of the contention involves an emerald green gown crafted by the brand Galvin London with an approximate value of $1,690. The Duchess was captured in the ensemble for a 2022 cover feature in Variety magazine. The uproar was rekindled when the identical outfit reappeared in a promotional teaser for a Netflix holiday special featuring the Duchess. The re-emergence raised further inquiries regarding the ownership of the clothing inquiries that were investigated in an article by Page 6, the celebrity and gossip section associated with the Further York Post. Page 6's preliminary report, using an unidentified fashion source, claimed that the Duchess had taken the outfit from the picture without authorization. The claim was extensively disseminated and rapidly magnified across both social and traditional media as headlines and posts circulated with fervent speculation. The evolving coverage led the New York Post to release more material. Reports indicate that one of the following headlines associated with the story was modified after its first publication. An initial version of the headline allegedly implied theft by questioning whether Meghan Markle had consented to a allegedly stolen dress. Subsequently, the headline was revised to a more cautious phrasing, indicating that the Duchess may have taken home items from the photo shoot. Observers regarded the revision as substantial, as the phrasing of a headline can significantly influence the perceived culpability of an individual. Such editorial alterations are often viewed as indicative of legal and reputational risk management, encompassing the potential for backlash or threats of litigation. Headline modifications are prevalent in prominent narratives, where the equilibrium between assertive journalism and the risk of defamation must be assessed. The early reports were not produced in isolation. They referenced prior, broader issues on the Duchess's engagements with the fashion industry. Journalist Vanessa Grigoriadis, during a discussion on the Heretics podcast with Andrew Gold, previously recounted narratives regarding things associated with photo shoots featuring the Duchess. In excerpts from that podcast, segments reportedly removed from certain online platforms, Grigoriadis elucidated standard industry practices. Garments and expensive jewelry lent by designers for editorial shoots are generally meticulously cataloged and anticipated to be returned post-session. She narrated a tale she had encountered, originally documented by biographer Tom Bauer, regarding a Reitman's photo shoot during which a pair of high-heeled shoes purportedly disappeared after the session. Grigoriadis subsequently mentioned a recent prominent photo shoot in which numerous items were not returned after Meghan wore them. These prior anecdotes established context that amplified the impact of the specific allegation regarding the Galvan dress in media coverage and public discourse. Grigoriadis's comments, along with the Bauer report she referenced, contributed to a narrative indicating that wardrobe concerns had been a persistent topic of discussion among royal fashion observers. The anecdotes were offered not as definitive evidence of wrongdoing, but as fragmented elements of industrial legend that could provide context for any individual contested issue. This framing was significant as it enabled tabloids and pundits to link disparate observations, such as the reemergence of a dress in a Netflix trailer, to a broader narrative of purported behavior without the necessity of presenting conclusive documentary proof in each case. In the lack of such evidence, reputations may depend on how these fragments are interconnected in public discourse, where inference often holds greater significance than proof. In response to the increasing media attention, the Duchess's communications staff provided an official comment to multiple outlets, including Tom Sykes of the Daily Beast's The Royalist newsletter. The declaration was unequivocal and emphatic, confronting the accusation central to the narrative. The spokesperson stated, The suggestion that any items were taken without the complete knowledge and consent of the on-set stylists or their respective teams is not only unequivocally false but also profoundly defamatory. The statement further asserted that any items retained were done so with total transparency and in accordance with contractual agreements. This formulation achieved multiple public relations objectives simultaneously. It served as a definitive denial of theft or deceitful conduct. It characterized the original insinuations as potentially libelous, indicating a willingness to seek legal recourse, and it acknowledged that certain items had been kept by the Duchess, while asserting that this retention was executed transparently and in alignment with pre-existing agreements. The spokesperson's statement was unequivocal in denying any misconduct and affirming adherence to contracts, yet it did not address a critical issue: the specific details of the contractual agreements mentioned. The assertion that retained items were in accordance with contractual arrangements failed to clarify whether the Duchess had outright purchased them, received them as gifts from the designer, obtained them through a talent agreement with the publication, or acquired them through other lawful means. This absence fostered ongoing curiosity and discussion regarding customary practices in magazine shoots, the management of garment ownership in particular instances, and whether the dress in question was purchased or received as a gift. In public perception, contractual ambiguity can be as significant as an allegation of misbehavior, as omissions prompt additional investigation. A distinct and detailed explanation was given to Tom Sykes by an individual identified as a source close to Meghan. This narrative presented an alternative justification for why a public figure of the Duchess's stature should retain an item post-photoshoot. Sykes's report on his Royalist Substack indicates that the source stated the Duchess retained the Galvan dress as a precautionary measure to avoid its clandestine sale. The source indicated that this retention is standard practice, contending that public figures frequently retain specific wardrobe items they have worn to deter production team members, such as stylists or assistants, from selling them on resale platforms or to collectors of celebrity memorabilia. The source said that the practice was both prevalent and judicious. The security-oriented framing sought to contextualize the action as protective. Instead of depicting retention as personal gain, it was characterized as a measure to protect the property from the secondary market. The insider claimed to draw comparisons with the royal family's historical experiences, indicating that things linked to royals have at times been resold in manners that the family deemed troubling. However, Sykes himself clearly denied that historical linkage. The seasoned royal correspondent stated that in 2 decades of royal reporting, the royalists can count on 0 fingers the number of stories I have written about royal attire, tainted with regal perspiration, being unlawfully resold online at exorbitant prices. His comment emphasized the disparity between the purportedly prevalent issue articulated by the anonymous source and Sykes's personal experience in reporting on royal fashion. Upon consulting fashion specialists for their evaluation, Sykes encountered pervasive skepticism. He stated that he consulted other fashion professionals, photographers, stylists, editors, and none had encountered this argument previously. These industry discussions elicited scornful responses. An anonymous fashion insider scrutinized the reasoning of the source, rhetorically inquiring whether the suggestion was that the stylist would pilfer and resell the outfit for profit on a platform such as eBay, or if the designer would engage in such actions. One source allegedly termed the answer insane, while another characterized it as absolutely hilaire, a truncated form of hilarious that still expressed bemusement. Collectively, these comments indicated that experts involved in fashion magazine shoots consider the anonymous source's security-based justification to be improbable or at the very least unconventional. A stylist experienced with the royal family provided a more candid evaluation. The individual informed Sykes it is evident she desired the dress and retained it. The stylist noted that it was probable the designer had consented to the retention, posing the rhetorical question, how could they not? The stylist remarked that the official statement did not indicate if the Duchess had financed the garment. The stylist remarked, from that we can infer she did not. This remark underscored the principal ambiguity resulting from the formal denial. The public acknowledgement of item retention implied an implicit admission of possession, but the absence of payment specifics allowed for varied interpretations regarding the nature of the transaction. Observers identified the ambiguity surrounding the gown's acquisition, whether it was purchased, gifted, or obtained through a contractual agreement, as the image's primary unsolved issue. The episode has illuminated the distinctly divergent regulations and standards that dictate attire for working members of the British royal family, in contrast to those applicable to celebrities and private individuals in the fashion and entertainment sectors. Working royals are subject to stringent protocols designed to maintain political impartiality and to avert the perception that their official positions are used for economic gain. Consequently, it has been a long-standing convention that working royals refrain from accepting complimentary apparel or accessories from commercial businesses for personal usage. Clothing worn during official engagements is either acquired by the royal family or financed via the personal funds of the individual royal. Occasionally, designers may lend goods for evaluation, such as at a specific event or photo shoot, but if a royal decides to keep an item, the assumption is that it will be purchased in its entirety. The procedures are executed in practical terms by the domestic apparatus that underpins the monarchy, including entities such as the Master of the Household's department. The Master of the Household is generally accountable for the domestic administration of royal homes and the logistical preparations that support official responsibilities, while the department supervises various elements of official hospitality procurement and the upkeep of household standards. Within that framework, wardrobe protocols clarify that serving royals do not implicitly endorse certain commercial brands and that there is no responsibility to those brands resulting from the providing of clothing or accessories. Gifts may be bestowed under specific conditions, such as official exchanges between heads of state or objects acquired during state visits, but these gifts typically become part of the royal collection. The collection is maintained in trust for the nation, rather than being privately owned by an individual royal. Numerous reporters and observers have observed that these limits were allegedly a source of tension for the Duchess, while she fulfilled her duties as a working royal. Previous reports indicated that she regarded the restrictions on receiving complimentary items as an irritation. As a former actress and public figure familiar with the celebrity milieu, where the gifting and lending of designer items for promotional purposes are prevalent, her adjustment to the monarchy's more formal and publicly examined framework constituted a substantial cultural and professional transition. In the realm of fame, designers often supply apparel with the expectation that prominent individuals would be captured in photographs, thereby creating publicity. In that context, photo shoots typically entail specific contractual agreements. Certain items are leased and require return. Others are gifted to the talent, and some may be compensated under stipulated terms as part of the talent's pay or wardrobe allowance. In this context, the Duchess's spokespersons claim that the Galvan gown was kept in accordance with contractual arrangements may pertain to a typical celebrity agreement wherein a designer or publication consented to the gifting or transfer of a garment as part of the negotiated terms of the shoot. In these contexts, it is common for luxury fashion brands to supply clothing to prominent individuals, anticipating that the publicity from editorial coverage serves as a form of remuneration. The public statement issued by the Duchess's staff coincides with a credible scenario in the fashion and entertainment sectors. However, the assertion by the proximate source that the retention was a strategy to inhibit unlawful resale provided an additional aspect that industry experts deemed unknown and unpersuasive. Critics of the security-based rationale contended that its presentation by the Duchess's agents unjustifiably undermined the integrity of on-set professionals, such as stylists and assistants. Critics assert that the source's tale, which insinuates that production personnel may be inclined to sell products online, unjustly tarnishes the names of those whose livelihoods rely on trust and reliability in the fashion industry. Stylists and production teams depend on professional affiliations with designers and periodicals. The notion that they frequently misappropriate and resell high-end items contradicts the standard practices of the business. The unidentified source's justification faced significant criticism for depicting such wrongdoing as a prevalent issue that necessitates celebrities to proactively safeguard stuff themselves. A portion of the mistrust among fashion professionals was based on pragmatic factors. Editorial shoots are typically meticulously organized events. Goods are categorized, recorded, and monitored, occasionally accompanied by images and barcodes, and producers and stylists frequently sign receipts to confirm the loan. Insurance coverage may be established for high-value items. A newspaper or photographer may cover replacement expenses in the event of loss or damage. The assumption that a stylist or assistant would nonchalantly remove and resell a clothing contradicts the experiences of numerous seasoned professionals. For many in the profession, the anonymous source's characterization appeared to be a convenient post hoc justification rather than a convincing depiction of standard practice. The episode has elicited similarities between the Duchess's conduct and the behaviors of other royal family members. The Princess of Wales, Catherine, is often highlighted in media reports for her practice of rewearing attire. A significant number of those garments originate from readily available high street brands, and her apparel selections are frequently public knowledge, as a substantial portion of the wardrobe expenditures for senior royals is managed through public funds or otherwise revealed. For working royals, the rebuttal to any allegation regarding the origin of an item is typically uncomplicated. It was purchased. The public accounting and stringent protocols are established to avert conflicts of interest and uphold an appearance of neutrality. Conversely, when a former working royal transitions into a conventional celebrity realm and retains attire consistent with that domain, public commentators often draw comparisons between these approaches, occasionally in a negative light. The Galvin gown is merely one instance of the Duchess being captured in attire previously featured in editorial settings and later remarked upon by the media. In October, she participated in a dinner in New York City with Prince Harry donning a black and white strapless Chanel midi dress. Journalists noted that she had previously donned the identical Chanel dress during a 2022 photoshoot for the Cut magazine, inciting renewed interest in whether she still possessed that garment. Such incidents contribute to a pattern of examination that intertwines inquiries regarding fashion selections with overarching issues of propriety, transparency, and the delineation between celebrity behaviors and the formal responsibilities linked to royal service. Each instance raises inquiries regarding the source of funding, the documentation of loans, and the extent to which the wardrobe was procured through conventional celebrity transactions, as opposed to royal household avenues. As the dress controversy unfolded in the media, other largely unrelated events concerning the Sussexes and the royal family garnered public interest. The Duchess, who has been developing a lifestyle brand since she and her husband stepped back from senior royal duties, posted a Thanksgiving-themed message on social media featuring a photograph of a turkey being prepared for roasting. The image elicited extensive online discourse among social media users and culinary bloggers, many of whom criticized the cooking method and posited that the bird seemed desiccated or insufficiently seasoned. This trivial culinary incident exemplifies the intense scrutiny and minute commentary that public figures, especially the Sussexes, often face on social media platforms. Simultaneously, Netflix executed a scheduling decision that attracted the attention of royal observers and analysts. The streaming firm, which had a multi-year production agreement with the Sussexes Archewell Productions, announced the premiere of a documentary examining the career and controversies of music tycoon Sean Diddy Combs. The documentary was slated to premiere on the platform 24 hours prior to the release of a distinct holiday-themed special featuring the Duchess. Certain internet analysts interpret Netflix's action as a purposeful programming choice that may highlight the Combs documentary, perhaps overshadowing or diverting attention from the Duchess's special. This observation stimulated discussion regarding the programming priorities of streaming platforms, the impact of scheduling on the promotion of new releases, and the implications of such decisions for a platform's current content strategy. Industry observers remark that streaming schedules can be congested and that prominent releases are frequently strategically timed to enhance their impact, occasionally to the detriment of other initiatives. Simultaneously across the Atlantic, the Prince of Wales participated in an engagement in Wales that resulted in a highly documented and empathetic interaction. During a visit to a youth club, Prince William conversed with the organization's founder, Scott Jenkinson, and his wife, Suing. The entrepreneur recounted to the prince his personal journey of surmounting homelessness and addiction, a narrative that underscored the significance of support from loved ones during the rehabilitation process. Mr. Jenkinson emphasized the importance of his wife's support, stating, "With my wife behind me, you know that." Prince William acknowledged this with a nod and laughter, then making a self-deprecating remark. "This is it. Behind every average man, there exists an even more exceptional wife. This remark was broadly perceived as a heartfelt and public homage to his bride, Catherine, the Princess of Wales. Royal commentators indicated that the unplanned remark offered insight into the prince's views on marriage and collaboration, highlighting the significance of his wife's involvement in his personal life and official duties. During the tour, he engaged with club attendees regarding the significance of family mealtimes, devoid of screens, promoting a more conventional approach to familial engagement. Observers interpreted the moment as further evidence of his increasing comfort and confidence in the role he is being groomed to undertake. Collectively, these occurrences exemplify the intricate media landscape in which the Sussexes currently function. Their actions are scrutinized meticulously, and even trivial issues are magnified into overarching discourses regarding propriety, aesthetics, and civic responsibility. The controversy surrounding the Galvan dress has progressed from an initial accusation to a complex discourse regarding public relations, the disparate industry standards applicable to celebrities compared to royal family members, and the boundaries of credible justification. The Duchess's team publicly refuted any allegations of misconduct, asserting that the retention of garments was transparent and regulated by contractual stipulations. However, the additional rationale provided by an anonymous source that items are occasionally retained to avert unauthorized resale by crew members raised significant skepticism among fashion experts and royal observers. The secondary explanation, instead of resolving the issue, raised new points of contention by suggesting possible misconduct among on-set personnel and by prompting direct comparisons to the formal protocols that previously regulated the Duchess's life as a working royal. This episode also underscores how contemporary media ecosystems exacerbate ambiguity. Digital platforms expedite the dissemination of incomplete information and unverified claims, while social media promotes fast conclusions that can solidify into widespread narratives. In that context, a solitary image, a dress observed in two distinct situations, can serve as the catalyst for a more extensive narrative regarding character and behavior. For public figures navigating the convergence of celebrity and institution, the implications are especially significant. An assertion regarding a wardrobe item may be interpreted as indicative of judgment, adherence to norms, or readiness to comply with an office's standards. The interpretive leaps are rendered more impactful when disparate sets of norms, celebrity commerce, and royal protocol are conflated or juxtaposed. The incident highlights the challenges the couple encounters in fulfilling a hybrid public role, as they are bound by the standards and commercial practices of the entertainment and fashion sectors, as well as public expectations associated with royal tradition. This duality engenders ongoing difficulties in managing their public image and in responding to allegations that may rely as much on perception as on verifiable fact. The narrative prompts persistent inquiries for commentators and the public. What is the appropriate treatment of garments lent for editorial use? What degree of transparency is suitable when a public figure possesses an item? How do varying institutional standards, celebrity commerce versus royal protocol, influence the interpretations of otherwise analogous behavior? The Galvan dress incident illustrates how seemingly simple fashion issues can incite extensive discussions regarding transparency, propriety, and the delineation between personal preference and public accountability. The Duchess's spokesperson has promptly distinguished between allegation and fact by declaring the theft implication to be false and cautioning against potential legal repercussions for defamatory reporting. However, the team failed to elucidate the precise contractual mechanism that facilitated the retention. Leaving a fundamental ambiguity, observers are aware that the dress was retained. They have encountered a vehement denial of misconduct, and they have observed an alternative explanation that has not assuaged industry skeptics. The outcome of whether the issue fades from public scrutiny or incites additional investigation, potentially in search of documentary evidence of the contractual agreement receipts or a statement from the designer, remains uncertain. A confluence of factors may dictate the narrative's duration, the designer's public elucidation of the terms, the emergence of supplementary examples indicating a trend, or the capacity of media outlets investigating the story to generate contemporaneous documentation that resolves the issue. The Galvan gown episode serves as a case study in the dynamics of contemporary celebrity, where fashion decisions converge with legal considerations, commercial practices, institutional protocols, and the insatiable demand of media and audiences for narratives that intertwine the personal and the public. This also serves as a reminder that in an age of immediate amplification, the particulars of a garment's transfer, who purchased, who bestowed, who recorded it, can be as significant as the garment itself. The resolution of this specific controversy may be minor in tangible terms, a solitary dress, but the reputational implications and the conflicting norms it revealed exemplify wider tensions that will persist in influencing perceptions of figures such as the Duchess, the responses of their teams to disputed assertions, and the manner in which industries and institutions navigate the ambiguous boundaries between private ownership and public responsibility. Thank you for watching the video. Please let us know your thoughts and goodbye for the time being.